Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you again for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite baits of February. And got my old wood stove going here behind me. And helping keeping me in the house warm. It's been cold for several days now, at least a week. We've had snow on the ground for at least a week. We had about 11 inches or so. And it got up to about 50 yesterday and warmed and melted a bunch of the snow off, but I still have probably 3 inches on the ground. And had the old wood stove going most of those days, well, all those days, because it was down, temperatures was down to 0 and the highs in the teens, and keep the gas bill down a little bit. And plus I just like a wood stove and wood fire, and it's real good heat. And anyway, enough about that. I could do a video on wood stoves. I could have another story, you know, my grandma cooking on a wood stove, fried taters and onions, cornbread, Dutch oven full of brown beans, and my golden doodles is up here trying to get me to give them attention, of course, while I'm trying to do a video. Imagine that. Anyway, back to our subject, which is the top baits of February. The top bait I'm going to throw, well, let me back up. February is a time of change, I guess. You're going to start changing into spring, changing into the pre-spawn. It's going to be later in February, of course, but in February the days is getting longer. Starting to get a little warmer temperatures, especially the last week or two of February. Normally, especially in my area. Up north, probably not so much, but in my area and south, you're getting into pre-spawn. And maybe Florida and Texas, you might actually start the spawn. But and also cold fronts that come through do not last near as long. They don't last a week, 2 weeks. They last a couple of days, and it starts warming back up. Anyway, my top baits of February. The number one bait I'm going to throw, guys, I've said it before, is a crankbait. I hate jerkbait fishing, so I pick up the crankbait and do as much damage as I can on a crankbait. If I can find a point, a bluff end, a ledge, lay down a rock pile with fish holding on it, down on or close to the bottom, first thing I'm going to do is sling that crankbait. It doesn't matter how deep it is. I'm going to have a square bill tied on for if they're up really shallow. I'm going to have a DT6 tied on, and that's for sure, because that's one of the best baits you can have tied on this time of year. Another one of the best kind of baits you can have tied on this time of year is a Shad Rap. A lot of people have kind of forgotten about the Shad Rap. Tie on that Shad Rap and go catch some fish. That thing is a fish catcher. If you're having a hard time catching fish, a lot of times I can pick up a Shad Rap and go catch some fish. DT6, DT8, Shad Rap, square bill, and a rock crawler. Those are going to be my top ones. If I can find the fish where they're active, where I can get them really cranking it hard, I'll tie on that tactical crank. The Tactical Bassin guys designed it with, I think, River to Sea, who they designed it with. you can speed crank, even in this real cold water. And it's just what it says. You crank that thing just about as hard as you can crank it, and stop, crank, stop, crank, stop, crank, stop, crank, stop. You know, just, I mean, getting with it. And those fish will still smash it on certain days if they're really active. Go to those Tactical Basins guys YouTube channel and watch them do it. They can show you how to do it, and it works well. But anyway, there's one that taught me to do that. I watched their videos and I was like, so I went and tried it one day when I could find the fish was active. By golly, it works and works well. But anyway, those crankbaits, I'm going to be on points, rock piles, brush piles, flats with a ledge on it, bluff ends, and bluffs that has some good stair steps on them. I don't want the sheer straight down bluff. I want the bluff that's got some steps to it, so I can work that crankbait down those steps. Once I find what depth those fish are in, I'm going to parallel that bluff, and that way I can make a good long cast, and I can work that depth, work that shelf all the way back to the boat, and increase my chances on how many fish I'm catching. Okay, number 2 bait is the dumb jerk bait. If those fish on the bluff ends are on the drop off, if they're suspended out over the deeper water on the ledges or whatever, that's when I have to pick up the jerk bait, slang it out there, and let it do its thing. I'll use anything 6 pound, 8 pound, 10 pound test line on a jerk bait, and most of the time, this time of year, the smaller jerk baits work better. I've got some Megabass Nana Hands, I think is what they're called, and those are some fish catching fools in the real coldest water, when the shad kill's going on, that kind of thing. Whenever they're not real active and the bass is being sluggish, that smaller jerk bait works better. The 3rd bait is a bait for back when they're on the bottom again and they're kind of active. You want to pick up that spinner bait, and I usually use a 1/2 ounce, because that 1/2 ounce lets me throw that big number 6, number 7 Colorado blade. Throw it out there, let it go down to the bottom, and then slowly crank it in, just slow enough. Make that blade turn a little bit, and keep bouncing it off the bottom, and those fish can't stand it, and you'll catch a lot of fish slow rolling that spinner bait. Now that spinner bait, I'll be using anywhere from 14 to 20 pound test line. Depends how much cover I'm in and how snaggy it is, whatever. The jerk bait, 99% of the time I'm throwing on a spinning reel, especially since I'm going to be using 6 or 8 pound test line. I've got it on a spinning reel, spinning rod. Now, we've done crankbait, we've done jerk bait, and spinner bait. And my 4th bait is going to be a jig. I'm going to pick up a finesse jig. It's going to be a 1/4, 3/8 ounce, one of the smaller ones. I like the smaller weights during the colder water. Now, throw that in the exact same spots. What is it, Rosie? What is it? I think she's wanting outside. But I'll be throwing it off of points, working it off of the drops, working those bluff ends, working like standing timber. Bring it along that standing timber, especially if it's got some limbs to it. You can work it up through those limbs, and pop it over a limb, let it fall, and then work it up. Pop it over some limbs, let it fall. If you got some lay downs in the water, if you got the Corps of Engineers brush piles that they've made, if you got a rock pile, any of that, you can work that jig through there and catch some fish. But anyway, those are my top 4 baits. Sometimes I will pick up a swim bait and put that on a head that's got a small willow leaf blade on it. Can't think of the name of it. Spin head, whatever you want to call it. Especially in this cold water, you need some extra flash. You need to get the attention of the fish to your bait, especially when you're fishing around a lot of shad. You want something that's going to make them get a little bit more attention to your bait, and that's where that spin under the spinnerbait blade under your jig head that you got for your swim bait is going to help you catch more fish. I'll use that when the fish is suspended out over deep water. Throw that and let it go down to about the depth they're at, a little bit above them. Most time I like it, if it's clear water, then I want it 4 or 5 feet above them. And if it's not real clear, I just wanted a foot or 2 above them. But anyway, those are my top 5 baits for the month of February. If you like this content, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys out on the water.